Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I really want to start today's video off by apologizing to all of you guys that are subscribed to this channel or have watched some of my videos in the past. This is a new HeroClix channel, and I'm kind of running it solo, so I'm trying to push out videos as much as possible. Whenever I started this channel, I decided quantity over quality. I feel like this game is really lacking in some of the um, social media stuff that could be happening. It's really lacking in the amount of just general discussion, about meta stuff, about team building, about what was played this past week, about the different kinds of builds that all the different um, venues are running for their fun events, right? So I really wanted this video to be more about quantity than quality. I've tried to up the quality of my videos over time, but really I just want to push out as much content for you guys as possible. Um, that being said, I humbly apologize for not putting out a video over the past couple weeks. The holidays and everything kind of snowballed and got to me. Uh, Little personal information. We have a newborn child, so that on top of Thanksgiving, on top of work, it just snowballed, and I wasn't able to put out any content for you guys, and I deeply apologize. That being said, I do want to make a video before we dive into the multiple team builds that I have going forward. I want to dive into a video of what we should be building against because I feel like before you start building your team, you should start looking at what most players are playing in the meta or what team, is causing the most issues for people whenever they play against it. And I have a strong feeling that the best meta team going forward is going to be the X-Men swap with Apocalypse and Genesis. And I've made several videos when I first started the channel just talking about what each of these characters can do. So if you have any more or uh, any confusion about these pieces or why they're so powerful, please go back and watch those videos. I'm going to go over them a little bit here, but what they do really well is they deal penetrating damage just out the wazoo with their stop clicks and their mystical damage. They're hard to kill with their blades rollout that Apocalypse gives them. They're also dealing a bunch of damage with the blades buff that Genesis gives them, and they just like to be attacked because they will have the soul sword equipped. They have those rollouts that Apocalypse grants, and they KO your equipment whenever you would get them to their stop click. So they really use your equipment against you, um, because really all they have to do is wait for you to hit their stop click, and then boom, they get 5 points for your cloak or 10 points for your Waldo arms, this, that, or the other. So this team is very good at using equipment against you. Not just because of their stop clicks, but they can include all the best meta stuff. That does include Scarab, Saki, Venomags, the rest of the Secret Six, primarily Commissioner and Sky Tyrant will probably be the other two Secret Six members besides Scarab that you do see. But you also get the new Con LE Death Metal Wonder Woman. And I've gone over her as well. I think I did a team build with just Death Metal Wonder Woman, going over what everything that she can do. Her errata came out, didn't really debuff her too much. She's going to still see meta play. So just think about what this team would look like and build your best version as if you had all the pieces, wanted to play it, and were going to Worlds with it. So just build this team like you want to win at all costs. This will be one of the main forces that we're going to play test against in my future videos, at least until we get some more data from Orlando's Champion Clicks event. That will give us more of an inkling in what we are going to see going forward. Uh, I do know that Sicarian, Iron Man, and Scarab are going to play very well together because Sicarian brings out uh, additional objects for Scarab to mess around with. Death Metal Wonder Woman is a free revive for any piece on the board. Sky Tyrant and Sicarian Iron Man will have full map reach. Venom Mags just makes the whole team go, and then they will also be able to bring out Jubilee if they win maps. So prepare for that as well. She's a lot to handle. If you're not dealing out 6 damage in one hit, you're probably going to have an issue with her. And also understand that you're not going to be able to build against everything that this team can do. That's where the practice comes in. Understand that, a 300 point apocalypse is also entirely possible until it's proven not to work. This is why, unless you're running Leech or one of the Disney Plus Chase Witches, I would encourage avoiding equipment. All 300 point apocalypse has to do is KO an equipment and then run. And he doesn't even have to do anything for that to happen. He just waits for you to attack him. So while that might not be the most fun strategy to play with, we saw a lot of games like that at Worlds where people would just KO somebody's emotional modifier and then wall up with their Thanos builds or their Apocalypse builds, whatever it may be. So the best version of the team in my eyes is 25 point Professor X, 60 point Deadpool, 50 point Death Metal Wonder Woman with the Soul Sword, 40 point Apocalypse with the Soul Sword, 40 point Genesis with the Soul Sword, 50 point Scarab, and then 25 point Commissioner with the Radioactive Clay. Another route that somebody might go is running a Sicarian Iron Man instead of Death Metal Wonder Woman for a little bit more offensive capability. But Death Metal Wonder Woman adds so much defense that I feel like that's the best route. I'm going to be prepared for both of those iterations, as well as a Sicarian Iron Man and Sky Tyrant duo. I don't think that will be one of the strongest versions, but it's also a very potent offensive strategy. Just have a double alpha on your force. So I think those 3 iterations of the team will probably see the most play. Uh, th- Without going a deep dive into the team first, let me let you know that the 25 point Professor X and the 60 point Deadpool are just swapping out for Venom Magneto and the 50 point Jubilee if you win map, or the 40 point Ducky Deadpool if you lose map. And the key to both of the teams is to throw Apocalypse and Genesis into the action and then play the rest of the team defensively. That's why I prefer the Death Metal Wonder Woman build, because it does allow Apocalypse or Genesis to be revived if somebody is able to KO one of them. Now that we've gone over what the team is and its strengths and, what it really does and all the pieces that can go on to it, let's talk about what that team is weak to, what its weaknesses are, what you can build so that you're ready to play against it. I think one of its main weaknesses is it has a really low attack value for all of its characters and really no perplex to increase those values. The only character that would have a high attack value is probably Sicarian Iron Man, maybe Sky Tyrant with a 12, but at that point, if you have a 19, they're still having to roll a 7. So I feel like if you have a high defensive team, uh, these pieces are really going to struggle against you. So I would just make sure that, if you decide to go this route, that your main attacker has a high defense. Piece that's really good for this is Iron Hammer, because he does have a 19 defense with a defender's team ability that you can take advantage of. Another weakness it has is Invincible. This team relies heavily on penetrating damage. So if you have some way to reduce penetrating damage with your attackers or the pieces that are going to deal damage to your opponent, that would be extremely beneficial. Swarm attacking, I feel like that's a possibility. It's going to require some playtesting on my end, um, but more like a scientist build that relies on a lot of attackers to deal damage, so that one or two of your pieces aren't taking the brunt of the penetrating damage. And then your classic power takeaways, your Disney Plus Witches, your Leech, your Chase Beast, and then Justice League Fulcrum Abominus can be used to Colossal Retaliate and take away their defensive power during that attack, and basically just trade Fulcrum for their Apocalypse or their Genesis. You also want to make sure that you have high damage on your main attacker whenever you're building, so that you can get around, like their Jubilee. Make sure you have some way to deal 6 damage straight up. The Fool Tarot card is also going to be the bread and butter of any team that does not rely on equipment. So I would say if you don't run the witches, you kind of want to stay away from equipment. But I'm not going to force that, and I'm not going to necessarily build that way in the future. There are some pieces that you just need to have the equipment on them for them to work. Uh, like Sicarian Iron Man, you need the Cloak of Levitation on him for him to work. You need to have some way to play around him being able to attack Apocalypse or Genesis without KOing the cloak. Some great builds that we've gone over are the Iron Hammer build and the Mystical team that I've created over the over the like a couple of videos. I did a Mystical build. So Iron Hammer is very good against this team because he does reduce the penetrating damage with his Invincible. If they try to attack him, he can shift that attack off to another character, deal the mystical damage and the stop click damage, this, that, the other. Or they wouldn't get the stop click because it's damage from a friendly attack. Anyways, he's very good for it. And then Mystical gives you the access to the witches, which, if you have Scarlet Witch, if you're able to pull her, or if you're able to buy her, good for you. But first of all, kudos to you if you're able to buy her. Second of all, if you do have those pieces, Mystical will also be a very beneficial thing to run if you just want to build with those pieces. But I'm going to let you guys know this Apocalypse Genesis duo, they're not they're not world beaters. Like these pieces, Sicarian Iron Man, Sky Tyrant, Venom Magneto, Death Metal Wonder Woman, they could all be played together. Some of them on, most of those pieces I listed on a monster theme team. But you could play all these pieces together anyways. The only thing that Apocalypse and Genesis add to it is putting them on a theme team and allowing them to be swapped out on X-Men Swap. So there's, it does a lot for the team, but it's not any different from anything you've built against in the past. The only thing that's different is their stop clicks, and you just need to be prepared to face those and know what they do. So my main advice to all of you is just to build the team that you enjoy, but make sure that you're practicing against and being prepared for these two pieces, and I'm going to help you do that down the road. Like I said, this is probably going to be the main team that I play test against myself. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving and that you guys have a great winter holiday. Whatever you do decide to, whatever you are celebrating, whether it be Kwanzaa, Christmas, whatever. But I'm going to say Merry Christmas because that's what I celebrate, and take it how you will. Enjoy your evening, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the holidays. Peace.